Welcome to Choose Where to Be Great. It is a pleasure to be with you today. I am your host, Coco Selman, five-time founder, impact investor, and creator of the Force for Good business system. Thank you for being here today. It's such a pleasure and honor to support and serve you on this topic that really inspires me, and I hope will deeply, deeply inspire you as well. So, this concept of we're talking about today is an area of chosen greatness, and we're going to unpack what that is. But what I invite you to consider is, are you trying to lead without knowing where your company is meant to be great? And are you feeling pressure to be excellent at everything, but aren't sure where to truly go all in? Is your team unclear about what great really looks like and where to focus their very best energy? Are you investing time and money across too many areas without seeing any breakthrough results? So today, I am excited to talk to you about one of the Force for Good really pinnacle ideas, which is around choosing an area of greatness. And an area of greatness is really, really impactful for a business. Your area of chosen greatness is the single area your company chooses to master above all others, where you choose to go all in with intention, investment, and innovation to achieve world-class excellence that refuels your purpose, profit, and growth. So you've heard it said before, and this is truly where I invite you to digest this into your company. When you are great at everything, you're actually mediocre at all of it. So this idea is where you really identify an area to put 10x the energy into one area that is going to set your company apart and help you as a team to devote your excellence and your brilliance at a level that would otherwise get lost in the weeds. Because when we are going in the day-to-day as founders, it's very tempting to make everything a priority. It's very tempting to have a million to-do lists. And this helps put you and your team in alignment about really what matters the most and where you choose to be great. So today's masterclass is about helping you select that area. Before we do that, though, I invite you to enter this conversation with childlike exploration and curiosity. This concept of an area of chosen greatness is one I hope you wrestle with, one that is not usually easy to discover. It is something that you will want to ponder with your team for a while. So in the masterclass today, I'm going to invite you to have the freedom to make a first choice and then come back to it. And in many cases, this is one of those things that as you're in business for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, you really start to discover what that is. An area of greatness that will propel every single part of your company forward. And if you've been involved in our masterclasses over the last few weeks, we've been talking about the customer journey. We've been talking about creating a shared avatar. And those are great places to start the assessment of where to be great. So I'm going to now take us into this deeper conversation so that you can really home in and identify where to be great. So let's look at this area of chosen greatness. Here on the screen, you can see, for those who are in a viewing capacity, you can see that the idea of an area of chosen greatness sits at the center of three concepts. The first is where your company is uniquely suited to be great. And so it's not where you, the founder, is uniquely suited to be great. It's where your company is uniquely suited to be great. And this is a place where collectively, as a team, whatever your resources are, whatever the strengths of your product and programs, all of it together, it's where you are meant to be great. So that's the first one, where your company is uniquely suited to be great. The second is where your audience longs for you to be great. All right. Where your audience needs excellence. And there's probably a lot of places that they could call for your excellence, but there's probably one place that you are uniquely great and they need you to be great. So the reason for the master classes around choosing your shared avatar and then doing the customer journey is to help you understand where you need to be great, where they need you to be great, where they long for your excellence. So the two are help you begin to figure out this question, where to be great. And the third, and this is very important, or prosperity cannot churn and is not sustainable. This is where being great will also drive the economics of your business. So, where you're uniquely suited to be great, where your customer longs to be great, and what drives the economic success of your company, that is where I invite you to choose your area of chosen greatness. So, one clear area of greatness is worth more than 10 scattered strengths. And so when you're starting a company, when you are growing a company and you've got your first million in ARR or 5 million or even 10 million and you're scaling, it's different than when you've been an IBM for a long time and you have all this systems and infrastructure and you have the ability to be great in lots of places. If you choose to be great in all the places from the beginning, you will never get off the ground because greatness is expensive, both in terms of energy, focus, innovation, and in real cost. So to be great in absolutely everything will prevent you from ever being able to launch and grow fast enough to be able to make enough money to then invest in greatness and everything else. So this is why it's so important for earlier stage companies, especially, but even companies that have many millions in ARR, but don't have the fuel within them to be able to really scale, go from that place of survival to scale. And companies that are scaling are exponentially growing. And big companies have the ability to do that because they have so much area of greatness that they can leverage. We want to help you get your first and predominant area of greatness, which will hopefully help you carry forward ongoing. All right. So next thing here is, this is the definition. We can move to the next slide. So our focus today around greatness is part of the Force for Good flywheel, one of the many legs of the flywheel that allows us to get momentum going. And by taking the time to assess pour your wisdom, your team's wisdom into this concept, it's going to start to enrich your thinking. It's going to start to affect your behaviors every day. It's going to tell your customers and your team where you choose to be great. And that is a really big piece of the Force for Good business system. So our growth element is called the area of chosen greatness. It's one of the legs of the flywheel. And the tool we're going to use is called the area of chosen greatness identifier, which you can get right now at a forceforgood.biz/weekly-tool. And this is going to be free through July 20th. And it's also free, of course, as part of when you buy the book, A Force for Good. So today we're going to use the area of chosen greatness identifier and help you identify what your area of chosen greatness is, at least for the moment. And then you're going to identify a high leverage habit and a high potency action, which we do in every masterclass, so that you put to work the wisdom you discover using the tool. So that is what we're going to do today. And so I always like to talk about why we don't do this. And so that you can see and understand and embrace and appreciate the resistance to this exercise. So, why founders don't focus on an area of chosen greatness is they get scared. We fear narrowing our focus. We think that when we focus, we'll lose opportunities, and everything is important. Really, that's the mindset of a novice leader, a novice entrepreneur. You want to be able to focus. When you focus really intensely on one thing, it actually improves everything because you are really putting your ducks in a row and you're not scattered. Another reason is they feel pressure to be great at everything. So, especially in early stage companies, leaders may believe that excellence must exist everywhere to be credible. This I see especially for people who come either from management consulting, where you're always looking for greatness in everything you do, and it's really only one project at a time, or it's from people coming from corporate, where they already have existed in a system that is pretty great. And it has, while it might not be inspiring, or it might have some shortfalls, right, in terms of how the culture is functioning, it has all these systems in place that allow a lot of things to take place in a pretty excellent way. Another reason founders don't do this exercise up front is their current success might be masking the need to choose an area of greatness. So when revenue is steady, the urgency to refine focus or go deeper on focus may not feel critical until the moment when you haven't been paying enough attention and then growth stalls and margins start to shrink. It also could be they're just too close. You're just too close to the business. I know I've always been wary of that myself. How do I make sure I am really reflecting on what's happening and I'm not just so close and in the weeds and attached to my ideas that I don't see. So founders struggle to see the forest for the trees and may miss their own hidden jewels. So that's what we're looking for. Oftentimes we conflate purpose with excellence. So purpose is why the company exists, right? So you may think that being mission driven, purpose led is plenty. However, transformational value for your customer that's repeatable requires more operational focus. And the last piece here, the other reason is we get so busy, we haven't slowed down, take a moment and do the inner work. We're on the treadmill. We're every day on the hamster wheel, going, going, going. And we think in our heads that we can't stop, that we have to keep running. And it's that very thought that is keeping your business stuck. So the path to freedom, prosperity, and impact starts with one bold choice, and that is where to be great. All right, so why you should define this area. So your resources are limited, and greatness requires choice. So when you decide where to be great, you get to decide where to install 10x the energy and resources, and it gives you the freedom to actually do it right. The other things are going to become less important because you're doing this one area so well, and you can invest the proper attention and time and money so that this part buoys your whole company upwards. Your team is hungry for direction. This is absolutely true, especially for companies that are growing. So So much is stuck inside the head of a founder, and everybody comes to work and does their best job. And then the founder always feels like, I'm alone. I'm making every decision on my own. However, if you have a clearly defined area of chosen greatness, it ignites for your team alignment, accountability, and autonomy. It helps them know where to put their most important energy, focus, and attention. Helps them see how they can be part of that piece of greatness. Also, your customer needs to know why you're the one for them. So this should be something that, again, they long for. So you're saying, I'm going to be great as a company in this area, and it will create clarity and differentiation, attracting exactly the right customers to come to you because it's exactly that need. And also the lack of attention on the other things that aren't important to them. Where we say everything we're great, then it's just like they don't believe a word you say, and actually you're just average at all of it. But when you say, boy, I'm really good at this one thing, and I'm putting less attention on these other things, and we'll give you some examples of what I mean by this, it really creates a startling knowing, a truth about who your customer is, what they want, what they need, and then how you can deliver it to them. The other piece here is that your profit depends on your greatness. The place where you choose to be great should directly impact your ability to charge more, scale faster, or retain longer. And the word or is important there. May not be all of those things, but it should be part of your growth strategy. So your company deserves to be known for something. So legacy doesn't come from being competent. It comes from being unmistakably excellent, remarkable at one thing that matters. So don't dilute your genius, distill it. All right. So I want to share with you a story about my company that I founded in 2016. So the story I want to share is my company, Illume. From the moment I founded Illume, I was searching for that one clear way we should choose to be great. I thought about it all the time with my team at night when I was sleeping. All the time I was thinking about this. And it really happened when we went through the journey of doing the 17-step customer journey that isn't part of another masterclass. When we together mapped that out as a team, it became so clear to me where our shared avatar, Judy, mother of a child who was receiving care, the avatar was Judy. She was coming home to the hospital for the first time after her child had been in the hospital on a vent, and she had a tracheostomy. The baby did, and this mother had never been home with this child. It was the first time bringing home from the hospital. They'd been in the hospital for over 6 months, and now they were finally coming home. Mom has 2 other kids, scared to death to bring the child home. So we were thinking about this customer, and we went through the journey. And at first, you think, well, yeah, you need to be really excellent at taking care of these babies, and you have to have clinical, dominance to be able to do this right. And what we found out, though, is that when we were looking at their exploration, we discovered 2 outcomes that really, really was needed by Judy more than anything. Because even though these children are fragile, they're actually pretty stable. And what Judy needs is for the person who's scheduled to come in to actually show up. So from the exploration, we discovered 2 outcomes we wanted to create: selecting nurses who genuinely love caring for others. And we saw that Judy needed us to consistently fill nursing schedules. So we knew that these 2 things came together. Somebody who could be in the house with the family for many, many years, perhaps doing 8-hour shifts. So we needed nurses who loved that act of coming and dealing with one family and one individual, and then consistently filling those schedules. And we could see that by hiring and keeping the right nurses and having a consistently filled nursing schedule, we could create the most acute relief for patients and families we serve. This led us to ask the important question: what specific area of greatness would help us produce these two outcomes? And after some deliberation, the answer was clear. We needed to be great at hiring and retaining reliable nurses who genuinely love caring for others. So, this may seem obvious, right? Really think about this choice. We were a nursing agency, yet our area of chosen greatness wasn't about nursing or clinical operations. It was about being remarkable at recruiting and retaining the right nurses. And the right nurses were the ones who would show up. So we needed them to be more consistent and reliable than we needed them to be, able to say, yes, I can come to all the shifts, but not actually show up. So I loved that, it was about being remarkable, about recruiting and retaining nurses. And I offer you this consideration. Sometimes a company's area of greatness is the less obvious path of focusing on something other than the product or the service itself. It calls out, call outs were extremely upsetting for our families. So choosing to be great at hiring and retaining the right nurses was not only good for our patients and their families, but it also fueled our company's growth. The more hours that were filled consistently by the nurses, the fewer complaints we would receive, which reduced the workload of our schedulers. And the more hours we filled, the easier it was to oversee that patient's care, which meant we needed fewer RN case managers to oversee their care. After figuring out our area of chosen greatness, our primary constraint to growth was not needing more patients, but was really in being able to hire enough of those right high quality nurses who would show up for work every time, never ever call out. And that became our recipe for growth and retention. Another example I'll share with you, a company that you've probably heard of, Southwest Airlines, focuses on friendly service to frequent point-to-point locations. Thus, their aim, unlike most other airlines, their aim is not to be in every airport, going to every location. Rather, they home in on specific hub locations and go back and forth between those locations constantly, especially those that don't have a lot of point to points by other airlines. This lets them master the art, and this is their area of greatness, the art of getting in and out fast, which means each plane makes more profit per minute. Okay, so this is where they chose to be great. They have also held true to their identity as a friendly airline and haven't tried to be a luxury provider. This enables them to focus on a specific market who values a lower price in exchange for some of the perks and luxuries of other airlines. So they're not going to give them those perks, but they like that it's lower price and that it's just you get in and out quickly. All of this allows Southwest to sell lots of tickets at the lowest possible price to the customer they long to serve. Cool, right? Another example, IKEA. Okay. This is such a great example. IKEA, and when you think about it, it's like they've been around for a long time. You sort of don't even notice what a really amazing concept is that the founder, Ingvar Kamprad, came up with. So IKEA unapologetically and proudly declares to their customers that their furniture will come in a box that customers have to locate and pull from the warehouse shelves themselves, and requires at-home assembly. In exchange for this, customers were assured a wide selection of appealing modern design at the lowest possible price point. To get something similar, you'd have to spend 2, 3, 5, 10x. But because you have to go do the work of pulling it out and putting it together at home, you get this better price. So this model set IKEA apart from the competition, making it the most valuable furniture brand in the world, the most valuable retail furniture brand in the world, valued today at more than $21 billion. So you see how this is an example where you just remake the game. You figure out what the customer wants, what they're willing to pay, where there is competition, what the competition is doing, and what they're not doing. And you find an open place to really shine. And this is the invitation to you to help you become great. So some might call an area of chosen greatness a unique selling proposition, but I'm incredibly focused on the benefits of being intentional with language here. To me, a unique selling proposition sounds truly misguided. It seems centered around success being defined by selling alone and being influenced by external factors rather than the internal of the company. So that's not the energy we're looking to channel here. Instead, claiming your greatness calls for patience. Because it often happens during the journey to getting it right is attempting several things to see what your greatness really is. It can be tempting to try to expedite this process. You're a business owner and you need sales. You want to do the thing your customers want, so they'll buy from you. And you end up oftentimes looking in the right places. You might check out what your competition is doing, which has its merits. You might look to see what the headlines are talking about, which also has its value. You might pull from what's trending on social media. Again, not bad to do, but finding where your company is designed to be great is a self-reflective process, not merely an analytical exercise. It's not about studying the quadrant of different things you could be great at by mapping out speed and precision and cost, which has its merits. It is found through the plumbing, the DNA already present in what you're building. It's found through plumbing the DNA already present in what you're building. It comes from purpose. Okay, so where does this fit? Where does this fit in the larger journey of a force for good and your 4-page growth plan, which hopefully every week you're looking at, updating, using these master classes to help you home in on an area that can spark new innovation and greatness in your company. So on the 4-page growth plan, which is your strategic plan, everything you know to unlock the puzzle of growth in your business. And really, it's your flywheel in 4 pages. So each of the legs of the flywheel live on the 4-page growth plan. So on page 1, you'll see at the bottom of the page is a section called Know Who You Serve. And you'll see that it's sort of towards the bottom of the page is a section called Area of Chosen Greatness. And that is where we're going to focus today. And at the end, be able to come back to the 4-page growth plan and fill in the blank there. Okay, so very good. We are moving forward to the next thing. So we are going to go through the Area of Chosen Greatness identifier. We're going to brainstorm, prioritize, use the 10 tenets litmus test, and select your area of greatness. And we're going to walk through the Area of Chosen Greatness identifier, and we're going to use one of the fictitious companies I like to turn to. It's Savvy Kids Shoelaces. And we use the shared avatar, Julie. Julie is a mother of 5-year-old Pearl. They live in Brooklyn, and Pearl's struggling to learn to tie her shoes. All right, I have to put you on hold for just a second because my 14-year-old doggy is needing out. Hold on. All right, Eric, here you go. Go, go, go. Thank you for your patience. Okay, I'm back. And now we're going to turn over to, I'm going to take this down and we're going to add this beautiful number. Oh, this is not the right one. All right, here we go. Here's the area of chosen greatness identifier. We're going to walk through it, and it's pre-filled in so that you can see what it looks like. And so you see here all the definitions on the first page, and talks about, it does say here, it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of work done before. As I mentioned before, this is one of those more contemplative, advanced concepts. If you had a chance to do some of these other exercises, great. If you haven't, that's always fine too. Your wisdom is always here to support you. So we're going to go straight into it. So, first page here. I'm going to push a button over here to make it easier for me to see. Okay. So, first page here. First question is, in what areas of your company, in what areas is your company uniquely suited to be great? So, think about your company for a moment. Where are you uniquely suited to be great? Start brainstorming, write down whatever you can come up with. Think about, what is the core purpose of your company? What's your 10-year impact goal? What is your 100-year company vision? What are your company values? What are the strengths of your offerings and services? What are the strengths of your operations? So just brainstorm the list. And I'll just share some things that we wrote down here for savvy kids. So neuroscience-based learning tools, toys and products, great product design, colorful products kids notice and love, videos and games to be used with their products that encourage learning through fun and play. These are all the things that Savvy Shoelaces is good at. Great customer service where parents can call in and get immediate one-on-one help. Getting high visibility product placements with kids' television brands. They're good at that. They have fast and easy ordering process. They have follow-up products that keep and help your child continue to grow in multiple ways. So these are examples. Write down, where are some of the things where your company is great. And the second question is in what areas does your customer long for your company to be great? So think about what they want, what they need. If you've done the avatar exercise, if you've done the authentic customer definition, if you've done the 17-step customer journey, you will be able to start to see where your customer needs to be great, who they are, what they need, the who, what statement. So in the case of Savvy Shoelaces, the places that the customer needs Savvy Shoelaces to be great is making it super easy and low stress and fun for a child to learn a new skill. Making it okay for kids and parents to be who they are in whatever form they are right now. So even if they don't succeed, there's still some goodness and fun involved in the product. Kids feeling good about their abilities and their progress. So these are the things they want. These are their needs. They don't want to feel like, oh, the little other child knows how to do their shoelaces and we really have no idea. She's not able to do that yet. So the third question is, what drives the economic prosperity of your company? And this is kind of a separate reflective, question. When you think about what drives scale, what is it that drives profit? What factors ensure that your company, your services, your products are competitive? What is it that moves prospects and customers to say yes to you and to your company? Where do you find, is it lead generation? Is it further down? Is it keeping customers? Is it getting customers to use your product over time, retaining customers? Is it upselling customers, cross-selling? Is it educating them in a particular way? Where, what, when you get it right, what would just set everything free for your customer to keep buying and for more customers to keep coming in? Or where is it that your profit is a problem, right? Because IKEA, their problem was, well, if we create these really, really cool products, and they're fully put together and we do all the shipping and whatever, means that we have to have a lot more space in our warehouses. We can't sell as many different types of SKUs. We need a lot more people to work. So now it's too expensive, right? So what drives the profitability? What are the big costs that you could lower or do differently? And through a different form of operations, a different deliverable to your customer would create something unique and remarkable and less expensive. Okay, and then for Savvy Shoelaces, it's really, for them, it's selling lots and lots and lots of product, selling multiple products to the same customer. That's going to be really important. Anytime you have a product that is not a big expense, that's lots of product, how are you going to create marketing, right? What's going to trigger those sales, repeat sales? And it helped Savvy Shoelaces really understand we can't just be in the shoelaces game. We need, it costs too much to capture a customer and then just sell a single pair of shoelaces. We need to capture the customer and provide more value to them in a myriad of ways. And so they have to be selective about how they do this, right? But this is what they're discovering as they go through the exercise. And then the next question is, where is there an intersection between an area where your company is uniquely designed to be great? So that was in question 1. Where a customer longs for you to be great. That was in question 2. And what is driving the economic growth? Start to think about where those 3 things really marinate and come together, where they really, really, really help you grow and they really help your customer get what they need. And it's already something you're good at as a company. So take that in for a second. So where would that be for you? For Savvy Shoelaces, they came up with learning experts creating videos and games to be used with products that encourage learning through fun and play. So that could be part of their marketing, could also be part of their ongoing staying in touch with customers and helping them. Another thing was making it super easy, low stress, and fun for a child to learn a new skill. Another was a selection of physical products like shoelaces that are designed for learning a new skill that bring parents and children to an online subscription for play-based learning. So it was through this questioning that Savvy Shoelaces discovered, boy, this is maybe how we could do it. So think about it for you. Where is there an intersection? And maybe it's not something you're doing now. Maybe it's a new thing that you could focus on that would help you drive all 3 things, where you're already great as a company, where your customer longs for you to be great, and where you can really scale economically, profitably. Get your revenues to rise fast or your profit to be really low so that your revenues will rise fast. All right. Now you're going to prioritize. Prioritize your list, top 3 things, and we'll write down 3 possible areas of chosen greatness. And so 1 is Everyday Kids products redesigned for skill-based using an online play-based learning system. So that's 1. Another one they came up with was Everyday Children's products reimagined with neuroscience-based learning principles. And 3, an exceptional learning platform based on neuroscience that utilizes everyday children's products. Okay. So then you've got your priorities. Now we're going to take the priorities and we're going to use the 10 tenets litmus. All right. So you're going to ask these questions, yes or no, in each of the things. Is it in your company's DNA? Is it already there? And so when they came back and they looked at this, for example, the Savvy Shoelaces, they realized that Everyday Kids products redesigned for skill building using an online play-based learning, that's something that really is already part of their DNA. But the other two things got to know. All right. So you're going to ask yourself, is it already in our DNA? And the question, and it doesn't have to be that all 10 have to come up as yes necessarily, but it should come up that most, if not all, are a yes. It'll also help you see there's differences between the 3 ideas. And it may also, this is really what will happen, is it'll help you come up with your final idea. Okay. So it is in your company DNA. That's tenet 1. Tenet 2, it is somewhere you're already good. Somewhere you're already good. Number 3, it is aligned with your core purpose, your 100-year company vision, your 10-year impact goal, and your core values. So if you don't have those specifically, that's okay. Just you can have it be sort of an emotional, is it aligned with what we believe the purpose and vision of our company is. And then number 4, fourth tenet is it matters to your customer a lot. Okay. It needs to matter to your customer. And if it doesn't, tweak it to matter to your customer. It has to matter to your customer. Number 5, it separates your company from the pack. So you want to sort of say, is everybody already trying to be great at this? Everybody's saying they're great at this. If everybody's saying they're great at it, is it really going to help you drive the economic prosperity of your business? It is one specific thing everyone can understand. All right. So this is important because what happens is we try to cram a whole bunch of things into one statement, and it ends up meaning that nothing is really great. And it also becomes convoluted and your team doesn't understand it. So you want it to be clear and simple. At Illume, we were like, we want to hire people who are really good nurses, love working with patients, and will come to work when they say they're coming to work. And that's what we hired for. And then when it came to anything else, right? All the other things in a business, all the other things in an agency, all the compliance rules, everything else, those things are important, but they are not the most important. All right, number 7, you are willing to dedicate. This is important. You are willing to dedicate 10 times the focus, resources, and investment of everything else. Right? Like that's another way to think about it. Where would you be willing to invest 10 times the focus? Where do you need that? And maybe it's something has to do with your product or your service. Maybe it has something to do with your operations or your systems, right? It could be something related to technology or AI. Who knows? But it's got to be something that you're like, if I really invest the crap out of that, I'm going to meet the customer's needs and we are going to sell product and service. Number 8, becoming great at this one thing will make everything else better. Right? So everything else gets better because you decide to be great at this. It drives your economic engine so that now you can now invest in the other things you want. It helps you get your place in the market so you're distinct. And now customers know which customers are the best ones to come to you. Number 9, it fuels profit. So not just top line revenue, but bottom line profit. It fuels profit. And number 10, it can be measurable. So sometimes this takes some creativity, but you will need to transform this area of greatness into a KPI, a key performance indicator, a metric. And so when I think about for, hiring nurses who fill all their shifts, are reliable and never call out, we had a couple of KPIs to help us measure that. First is how many hours a week are we filling? How many nurses do we have? We also looked carefully at number of call outs. How many nurses are calling out? How do we reduce the number of nurses that call out? How do we fix the number of nurses that call out? We also looked at the number of open shifts, which was a little bit of a different thing, but how many open shifts do we have that are not filled? And how can we get the nurses into those specific shifts? So those are all part of the metrics that helped us. For here in the example we're looking at for the shoelaces company, they chose Everyday Kids products redesigned for skill building using an online play-based learning system. So that's an example. Pick your example. What's your area of chosen greatness? And congratulations for coming up with that first concept of what your area of greatness can be. All right, so now I'm coming back to where we were. I'm going to take you. All right, this is going to go remove. We're going to add you. Okay, so we just walked through the area of chosen greatness identifier. We looked at shabby shoes. And now we are going to the next page. Okay, so now hopefully you have gathered some new wisdom. And again, the purpose of each Force for Good tool is to help you discover your wisdom. Wisdom is what's needed in your business more than anything else. The tools are designed to help you and your team collectively extract your wisdom and put it on page in a written format so that you can talk about it, bounce ideas, and then add it to your 4-page plan and then think about it in the context of how you're growing your company. So hopefully today now you have defined one area where your team, your company is ready to shine. You've identified an area where you will invest for scale and prosperity. You've identified the heartbeat of your company's future excellence. See how this thing that you've defined, you are going to really dig in and want to be great at that. And you'll be spending decades making this area better and better and better. Where your purpose becomes profit. You've identified where your purpose becomes profit. You've also identified where you build your company's reputation for greatness. So congratulations. Well done. Greatness isn't about doing it all. It's about doing what matters most masterfully. Good stuff. All right. Time to update your 4-page growth plan. Go to page 1 and hit that corner spot, update it with your area of chosen greatness. Sit back with your 4-page growth plan and see if it affects any other parts of your plan. And now let's choose a high leverage habit. So a high leverage habit is a repetitive, reinforcing behavior that makes greatness inevitable. So you have to become great. So this is the question. What's the thing I can do every week so that I can make sure my company is actually great at this and really great? The greatness is inevitable. What weekly or monthly ritual will help you review a KPI or a few KPIs tied to your area of greatness? What could you do with that? So maybe in your weekly activity, maybe you have a Google Sheet or some other platform where you put your data, and every week you look at this data and see how you're doing in terms of your greatness. Ask, are we improving this week? And celebrate progress with the team. So we want you to be doing that every week. So here are some examples of actions, some monthly or weekly rituals. So weekly team huddle with the area of chosen greatness metric update. That's one. Another is a monthly leadership roundtable focused on innovations in your area of chosen greatness. It could be quarterly customer feedback report where you're focused on their feedback, not just in everything, but in your area of chosen greatness. It could be a bi-weekly greatness story shared in your company Slack. It could be your monthly, not annual, monthly town hall on how your area of chosen greatness shaped company outcomes. So, or it could even be annual and have like a big party around it. So these are examples of things you do not just once, but again and again to keep the idea of greatness coming forward. The most aligned teams aren't following more rules. They're following shared greatness. So let's now go to identify a high potency action. This is a bold one-time action, unlike a high leverage habit, which is repeated. The high potency action is a bold one-time step to create momentum, to move this idea of greatness off the ground. So what's one action you can take this week to bring your customer greatness, your area of chosen greatness to life? So you can add your area of chosen greatness to the next all hands meeting. You can assign a team member as a area of chosen greatness champion. Always have it be someone other than you for these kinds of roles, right? Because if it's you, then again, you're repeating this habit of you being the center of the universe. The next idea is to redesign onboarding for new customers as well as for new employees to reinforce the area of chosen greatness. You could create a customer-facing statement to put out about your area of chosen greatness. You could run a customer survey about what they value most from your area of chosen greatness and how you can really start to get better at it right away. And this isn't on the screen, but I think if you don't know what your KPIs are, if you don't have your metric chosen for your area of chosen greatness, this is the big first step. Figure out what that metric is, how you're going to collect that metric, and it needs to be on a weekly basis, daily or weekly basis, weekly at a minimum. If you're looking at your greatness only monthly, you can only look at data monthly, you will never be great at it. You need 52 times a year to reflect on your greatness. Not 12 is never going to be enough. So find a metric that you can track pretty easily. Maybe you have to set up a system in order for you to track it pretty easily on a weekly basis, and then be able to decide, who is going to be in charge, probably your chosen greatness champion, or maybe there's several who's, maybe you've got several KPIs that is attached to this area of chosen greatness, and that each person, there's a different person responsible for each of those metrics. So that's a really important winning first step. If you get that step in, you have a chance at being great, because now you can come in every week and you can think about being great. So strategic clarity is an act of leadership. Okay, that's why this is so important. Choosing your greatness is how it begins. So you did a lot today. You chose your area of greatness. You used the area of chosen greatness identifier. You integrated your area of chosen greatness into your 4-page plan, identified a high leverage habit, and committed to a high potency action. And I love this quote from Elizabeth Gilbert in her book, Big Magic, which, if you haven't read it, it's such a great book. But she says, the universe buries strange jewels deep within us all and then stands back to see if we can find them. And that, my friends, is what the area of chosen greatness is all about. Living inside each company, each person is strange jewels, strange pieces of greatness, and it's our duty to find them, to go searching and discover what those greatness jewels are. What's next? So the next piece here is to make sure you have a copy of the book, A Force for Good, and review this section in chapter 7. And chapter 7 is all about the area of chosen greatness. It also reflects upon the customer journey, the 17-step customer journey, and the shared avatar. And together, this really helps you reflect on where your customer needs you to be great. You're going to get the full Force for Good toolkit, and it's such a simple and easy buy. And when you have it, it gives you everything you need to create the full Force for Good system. And you can get it at aforceforgood.biz/book. The next thing is to make sure you're signed up for our tool of the week. And you can do that by simply going to aforceforgood.biz/weekly-tool. And every week we launch a new masterclass like this one, and we give you the recordings and the links by signing up. So that's an important step, and you'll be able to, it's a free way for you to install one masterclass at a time, the full Force for Good system. You can also go through the Growth Accelerator, and this is the most expedient path to building out a system of exponential growth into your company. It is an elevated model designed for women by women, and you'll, in 12 modules, install the full Force for Good system. And you'll have videos, tools, assessments. You can do it alone or with your team, and there are several different ways you can do it. Tiered pricing that starts at $599, and you can get it all by discovering aforceforgood.biz/accelerator. So we come to the end, and I thank you for participating today in this masterclass. Just remember that the world is made better by women-led business. So let's all go make the world a better place.